Welcome to Flip TV News. I am Ayala Omalara. News headlines. Marketers may lose few supply licenses. Demand for sustainable minimum wage by government. News in detail. As Nigerians battle fuel scarcity, over 9,000 oil marketers are on the verge of losing their operating licenses. As a result, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria is urging the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to extend its final deadline for licensing renewal to July. It also appealed to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority to release 9,000 already processed licenses to its members. The association made the request known in a release signed by the National Public Relations Officer, Chief Chinedu Ukadike, on Thursday in Abuja. Recall that the IPMAN, in a statement on Sunday, lamented the slow-paced marketers' license renewal by the NMDPRA. The NNPCL has replaced the deadline of April 15, 2024 for marketers to renew their licenses or risk closure to access their customer express portals for the purchase of petroleum products from NNPC Retail Limited. But IPMAN requested an extension, saying the extension would enable marketers to reconcile their licenses and reduce panic buying by members of the public, aggravating the present scarcity of petroleum products. Marketers are fast-tracking the processing of their licenses to avoid the impending closure of their customer express portals for purchase of petroleum product from NNPC Retail Limited. The NMDPRA and the NNPC Retail Limited are being appealed to for release of the processed licenses and extend the deadline for delisting of marketers from their express portal. It was said that if the request is granted, it will ease the tension of panic buying by members of the public in order not to worsen the present scarcity of petroleum products. Cardoso responded that the NMDPRA would take a look at the request and act accordingly. Amidst this, the IPMAN had declared that it would shut down the 30,000 stations operated by the IPMAN members across the country if the federal government failed to pay the 200 billion naira that was being owed by marketers. IPMAN specifically said the NMDPRA has refused to clear the debts which had continued to accrue since September 2022. Also, the Nigeria Governors Forum on Thursday emphasized the need for the government and organized labor to come up with a sustainable minimum wage in the ongoing negotiation. The NGF, which made the call in a communique issued at the end of its virtual meeting and signed by its chairman and Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, assured-labored of governor's commitment to pay the workers an improved wage. In response, the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress warned the state governor against defaulting on the new minimum wage that would be approved during the ongoing negotiations. In January, President Bola Tinubu constituted a tripartite committee comprising government, labor, and private sector representatives to assess the 30,000 naira minimum wage implemented during the former President Muhammad Buhari tenure. Recently, the two primary labor organizations, the NLC and the TUC, presented a proposal of 615,000 minimum wage to the committee. During the May Day celebrations on Wednesday, the government refrained from announcing a new minimum wage, citing its reluctance to accept Labour's proposal. However, the NGF in its statement said it was assessing Each state government's fiscal capacity and the potential effect of different proposals to determine an enhanced minimum wage that could be sustained by the state. Speaking on the governor's pledge, the TUC Vice President Tommy Etim argued that new minimum wage would be binding on the governors. On when the committee would meet following its inability to reach a conclusion last Monday, a top official of the NLC who insisted on anonymity because he was not authorized to speak on the issue said there is no fixed date yet for the meeting between the Minimum Wage Committee and the federal government. According to him, the labor union have placed their demand of $615,000 as the new minimum wage and are expecting an offer from the federal government. The source added the union have also demanded that the new act should have a 2-year life with an agreement for automatic adjustment in wages anytime inflation exceeds 7.5%. It was also demanded that every employer with up to 5 workers in his employ shall pay the minimum wage and have asked for the strengthening of monitoring and compliance mechanism to penalize non-complying state government and organizations. The Adamawa State Chairman of the NLC, Chief Emmanuel Fashe, said the state governor has promised to pay the new minimum wage to workers of the state without subjecting it to any further negotiation or review with the labor in the state. Speaking on the plight of workers and the need for the state governor to act in the interim to alleviate their suffering, he said the standard of living of Nigerian workers has nosedived following the fuel subsidy withdrawal and floating of the naira. Meanwhile, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joy Ajaero, on Thursday night explained how the Congress arrived at the $615,000 minimum wage proposal, which is submitted to the Tripartite Committee on Minimum Wage. Recent reforms in Nigeria, including the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of the foreign exchange market, have pushed the cost of living to newer levels. Inflation figures hit 33.2% in March, further compounding the troubled economy. The NLC is proposing a $615,000 naira monthly salary for workers, a jump from current $30,000, although many believe it is unrealistic. That the labor union believes many states can pay it if they get their priorities right. Ajaero in the statement said the figure was a product of painstaking effort through which they capture the cost of living of Nigerian workers and masses in all parts of the country. It was essentially an outcome of an independent research conducted by the NLC and TUC on the cost of meeting the primary need of an average family around the country. The research was based on a family with both parents alive and 4 children without the burden of having other dependents with them. Ajaero further noted that the union arrived at the figure before the increase in electricity tariff and the recent scarcity of petroleum across the nation, leading to appearance of long queue with attendant increased transport fare. He said any figure below this amount becomes a starvation wage and condemns Nigerian workers and their families to perpetual poverty. Stay with us for more news updates. I am Anyela Omalara.